Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with a video.
My relationship with my husband had always been amazing, but my mother-in-law would always manage to mess things up. I had moved in with my boyfriend who lived with his mom, and I was not comfortable with the idea from the start. I had told my husband that if I did not feel comfortable, we were moving out. He assured me that we would do whatever suited me. My mother-in-law is a pure narcissist and cannot even bear anyone for much time. She is so unbearable and gets out of control even at the slightest inconvenience. Whenever my boyfriend and I went outside for dinner, my boyfriend had to bring food for her, or she was going to yell at the top of her voice. She would go through my stuff when I was not home and would make sure to create a scene now and then. In a couple of weeks, I realized that it was not going to work, and we had to move out. My boyfriend understood how difficult it was getting with every passing day. I told him that we could move into my apartment, and he said that was a great idea. He told his mom that we were going to move out, and she just could not digest that. She asked my boyfriend if he had forgotten the way he was kicked out by his previous girlfriend, and then came back like a fool. He told her that his previous relationship failed because of her toxicity and because she had posted shit about his ex-girlfriend's family on Facebook. My mother-in-law told her son that he was not welcome anymore if he left that day. My boyfriend did not listen to her, and we left. My boyfriend did not contact his mom for a week or so, and that made my mother-in-law worried as she kept calling him, and I know why. She might be thinking that her son was now out of her control and had probably forgotten her. My boyfriend did not respond first and then told her that he was busy. My mother-in-law started calling me after that, and when I picked up, she told me that she was sorry for being harsh and was ashamed of her behavior. She begged me to make my boyfriend talk to her. I convinced him, and all my mother-in-law kept saying was that I was a witch and had put her son under a spell. My boyfriend hung up and blocked her number. He also made me block her from everywhere. A couple of weeks passed. My boyfriend received a call from an unknown number. When he picked up, it was my mother-in-law, and she was crying bitterly and was apologizing. The call was on the loudspeaker, and I could hear her saying that she had lost her son because of her temperament, but she would change it to get her family back. My boyfriend hung up and told me that it was just one of her episodes and she should not be taken seriously. My mother-in-law called me the next day and told me that she was really sorry and would never behave bitterly again. I told her that it was okay and I was not upset at all and would talk to my boyfriend too. She asked me if I could send her the address to my apartment so she could visit and talk to her son. I told her that I would text her in a moment. I gave her the address just because I felt so sorry for her and thought that she would behave herself. She visited that evening, apologized, and to my amazement, she was polite and nice. My mother-in-law would visit every couple of days and would spend a few hours at our place. We would chit-chat and talk about random stuff, and she never misbehaved, which made me relieved. One fine evening, she asked me what sort of business I had and how it was going. I told her that I had an online clothing store and then started telling her how I had started and how it was going. She said that it was a cheap profession and I could have pursued a professional job. I told her that I was never interested in jobs and always wanted to have my own setup. She went on and said that professional jobs were prestigious and then started explaining their benefits like pension allowances and everything. She was a principal and started boasting about how respectable she was and had no worries if she retired. She also said that my business was cheap and would give me nothing. Of course, that offended me, and I told her that I paid taxes more than she ever earned. It felt like she was about to lose her temper, but she managed to stay cool and then left after a while. After a few days, my mother-in-law took to Facebook and posted that she loathed online businesses and jobs as they are not secure and people waste their whole lives doing useless online businesses. She then mentioned me and wrote that she had tried to convince me to give up on my online business and pursue a professional career, but I was too dumb to understand. She also said that I would understand once my business had to face a downfall. This pissed me so much, and I even reported the post, mentioning that it was bullying. My boyfriend also saw that post and reported it as well, but that did not make me feel any better. My boyfriend took to Facebook and posted that he was proud of me and was going to support me with whatever I chose to do. He also said that his mom would criticize everyone and everything and thought that she was perfect. Just when my boyfriend posted that, my mother-in-law started calling continuously, but we did not respond. She even kept texting, but my boyfriend was too pissed and told me that his mom had ruined so many of his friendships by just being that toxic. My mother-in-law showed up at our place the next day, but we did not open the door for her. She kept knocking, or let's say thumping, the door violently, which disturbed our neighbors, so my boyfriend opened the door and told her to go away. She told him that she was there to apologize and we could not cut her off like that. My boyfriend told her that it was her last warning and let her in. She came in and apologized to me. I told her that I was not surprised at all. She started explaining that she was just sharing her opinion and that she had a right to it. She also said that it was her Facebook account and she could post whatever she wanted to. I told her that she did not seem sorry at all and just wanted to argue. She said that she was sorry and did not mean to hurt me, to which I replied that she could post anything, but bullying someone was not an option. The lady stayed for a while and then left. I do not understand what she actually wants, as she never fails to be toxic and then even cannot bear being cut off. This is the lowest I had expected from my mother-in-law. She was just not over the topic and could not digest that I earned way more than her and was proud of my business. She came to see us. My boyfriend was away, and so I prepared tea for both of us women, and we were having it when I received a call and had to leave regarding some work. I told her that I would be back in an hour and left while my mother-in-law was at our place and all alone. When I came back, she was not there, so I thought that she might have left because she never likes to wait for anyone. I collected the cups and went to the kitchen. When I went to my bedroom, to my horror, I found dresses cut into pieces laying all over my bed. Those dresses were one of my articles from the store that had to be dispatched tomorrow. I had brought those dresses to see the stitching and approve the quality. I have called my husband and he will be back in a few hours. I cannot believe my mother-in-law could be that toxic and plan something like that. My boyfriend came back and I showed him what his mom had done. He called his mom, but she did not respond. My boyfriend told me that we were going to her place. As we reached there, her house was locked, and of course that meant that she was not there. My boyfriend called his aunt to ask if his mom was there, but she said that she had not seen her in a while. I told him that I had to go to the police station and file a report against her, as that was just too much. I was able to file a report against her for trespassing and then damaging my property. We came back home and I could not relax at all. I told my boyfriend that if he wanted to keep our relationship intact, he had to cut off his mom once and for all, or he could just walk out of this relationship and I would not even mind. My boyfriend went to the school my mother-in-law worked in and broke into her office. He told her that she had to stop being a bitch, and how did she imagine that she would be safe if she went away from her house? My boyfriend created a scene there and then was kicked out by security. My mother-in-law had received a notification regarding the report and then called me to say that she had done nothing and I was being delusional. I told her that I would not spare her and hung up. I once again blocked her from everywhere. Police had arrested my mother-in-law and she was proved guilty of trespassing and damaging property. She was fined, and we were also able to obtain a restraining order against her. My mother-in-law dared not contact us after that, and it was such a relief. NTA, OP could have gotten the restraining order against her mother-in-law long ago, since she had shown major red flags from the very start. If they had cut her off sooner, she would not have damaged OP's articles like that. It was still so sensible of the OP when OP had decided to go to the police station instead of looking for her everywhere just to ask if she had done that. OP's mother-in-law is a legendary a-hole, as she had no boundaries and was extremely irritating. She did not want to see the couple happy and did not even want to stay away from them. She would hurt them in one way or another and then would apologize just to stay around them and keep an eye. She should have been kicked out long ago, and OP was stupid to give her a chance.
Next story.
I have a stepsister, Taylor. who's 2 years older than me. We were 12 and 14 when our parents married, and Taylor hated my mom and I from day one. She can be a mean girl, and she definitely thinks that she's better than everyone. She was also jealous and possessive of her dad. I wasn't thrilled about the new blended family, but I wanted my mom to be happy. Taylor was nothing but rude to my mom. Growing up, I always felt like I was in her shadow. I recently got engaged, and my mom and stepdad threw me a beautiful engagement party. Taylor was there with her husband, and a couple of people were making jokes about how she will probably try to wear white to the wedding. My stepdad made a joke about how he doesn't care if she is his daughter. He is going to pay multiple people to be there with red paint water balloons because Taylor doesn't get away with her shit at the wedding. Suddenly, Taylor began crying, which was so out of character that everyone was shocked. She said that she was just pissed at her dad for picking me over her, but her husband was trying so hard not to smile. Taylor told us all to shut up and not look at her because she can't help it. My stepdad was trying to explain that she needs to learn a lesson, but he still loves her. Taylor finally blurted out that it isn't that serious, but she is pregnant and she just has been crying about everything. I was in shock that she would say that. Her grandmother heard and made a big deal out of it to everyone. So by the end of the night, everyone had congratulated her. My mom was telling my stepdad how awful Taylor was for doing that, and he said that she didn't mean to. I replied that no one interrogated her, so she is still accountable for her actions. Taylor's husband was a bit tipsy at this point, doing celebration shots like this party was to celebrate his baby, and called us a-holes and jealous. I said that she has no manners because deep down she is an insecure little girl. Her husband was pissed. My mom told my stepdad that we don't want her at any more of my events, and he got upset and felt that we were too hard on her. Now, people are calling me jealous and a bridezilla. ETA, the people teasing her in the beginning, were closer to her than me, and that group always teases each other. She is very proud of her flaws, and her husband has openly said that he likes bitchy and difficult and thinks it's so cute. I do think what her dad said hurt her, but she was not being bullied. NTA, Taylor knew exactly what she was doing, turning on the waterworks, which is why your stepdad's promise to handle her at the wedding means nothing. He can't tell when he's being played. Leave her and her drama out of it, as best you can anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if she tries to arrange some kind of counter-programming or emergency day off, in which case you may just need to accept the possibility of your stepdad won't be there either. This sounds like an awful situation. Her father joined in with other people to pick on her about a made-up scenario, made her cry, and instead of just dropping the subject, especially after basically being told to leave her alone, they just kept doing it? What lesson is being taught here? I really want to say the a-hole here is your stepfather because this lifelong insecurity about having lost her father's affection has to come from somewhere.
Next story.
I'm a 26-year-old woman, have a gay best friend, let's name him Cam. Cam's 27, and we have been friends since high school, but moved away for college. We're still close and talk every day. My boyfriend, 26, let's call him Jay, is also pretty close to him. He told me to invite him over for my birthday since it's been 3 years since I last saw him in person. He also asked if he could invite his close friend from Arizona since they were coming down to watch a game of some sort. So I agreed and said that they're also invited to the party if they like. We called our friends and they were coming on the same day. Cam is earlier. Today I picked up Cam, and since Jay doesn't pick his friends up till later, we all sat down, talked, and let Cam tour our new house. When it was time to pick up Jay's friend, me and Cam went to sit down on the couch to watch some TV. Cam has never met Jay's friend, but he knows that they're coming. When they arrived, Cam stood up and started to introduce himself. Jay's friend, let's call him Richard, cut him off and said, "Who invited this maggot?" Except it wasn't maggot, but something similar. Cam stopped, and I was at a loss for words. Cam went to the room he was staying in, and I ran after. Jay blew up at Richard, asking what the hell is wrong with him. Some context. Cam's family was never supportive, and I was his only true family. They would use that word towards him, and it made him feel defenseless, which I bet with most people who are called that word. Jay later came into the room and apologized profusely to Cam, which Cam did appreciate, but he said it wasn't his fault. I got upset and walked back into the living room and told Richard that he's going to have to stay somewhere else. He looked at me with a face of disbelief and told me that he's staying over because Jay invited him. I told him yes, only because I let him, and that I own the house, therefore I get to say what goes on in it. I told him to leave and he blew up at me, calling me all sorts of names and words, then calling Jay a pussy for not standing up for him. But Jay stood with Cam in the other room. He asked me where he will stay, since he only brought enough money for himself to buy food and merchandise. I told him that's not my problem, and instead he should leave. I feel like an a-hole for just kicking him to the curb when he has no place to go, and I feel like it was an overreaction, but at the same time, it really hurt Cam. AITA? NTA, I am so glad that your boyfriend stood beside you and your friend Cam. He has amazing friends. Also, who would call someone a maggot right when they just met them? So messed up. You and your boyfriend did the right thing by kicking him out. It's your house, and if Richard was not going to cooperate and be nice, then you had every right to kick him out. Richard is the only a-hole in this situation. NTA, if this is an actual story and not bait, Richard is an extraordinarily rude individual. Who walks up to a total stranger and calls him a maggot? Made doubly rude by saying this to another guest in someone else's home? And worse, when you told him he would have to leave, he insisted that he was staying because Jay invited him. Even if the house was jointly owned, or Jay owned the house, he insisted that he was going to stay despite a permanent resident telling him he had to leave. I'm a little disappointed with Jay. He should have ousted this friend rather than stand idly by while you endured this verbal abuse.